Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel. And Leicester City head to the capital on Thursday night as they take on West Ham United at the London Stadium. And could things get any worse for Leicester City? They very much could. Are we as good as down? We'll see how Leicester City bloody turn up against West Ham United, a side that look very depleted and very low with confidence going into this game. Leicester City, a side that's been questioned about fight, and have they got the fight on Thursday night? It remains to be seen against the Hammers. Could it be another hammer blow in Leicester's fight to stay up? We'll see what happens. But guys, as always, get involved. Hit the like button if you're new as well. Hit the subscribe button. It would help me out massively. Let's use in. Manish, how are you? Hope you're well. Will be, how are you? All right, Jack, well, how are you, fella? Yeah, I'm good. Bit depressed watching bloody Leicester lose every bloody week, but like I say, we've got to support this team through thick and thin, haven't we? You know, we'll be there, whatever league they're in next season. And like I say, a big game again on Thursday night. And if we lose this one, the fixtures are going to be very crunching, aren't they? After this West Ham game with Liverpool coming up, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, and them types of teams. So, yeah, very worrying signs for the Foxes. But Terry, my mate, we've done the double over them last time we went down. We did. We could chat with the boys about that. But let's get my first guest in, Russie B. How are you?
Yes, Jack. All right, mate. I'm good. How are you, mate? How are you? Cheer up, mate. Cheer up.
I'm hoping you can make me a bit optimistic and say West Ham are just going to roll over and add Leicester 3 points for us and keepers up in the league, mate. But I'm sure you can't really be doing that, can you? You know,
nah, I don't think so. I think obviously, the Saturday's result really is the opportunity for Potter to start putting some roots down. You know, he sort of we've sort of come to a conclusion. You know, it seems, you know, until the Arsenal game on Saturday, you know, the results were very similar to under Lopetegui, but there was an optimism amongst West Ham fans because it was Potter and seems, you know, we're playing the youth, playing the youngsters, and, you know, people were quite happy. So, yeah, I mean, Saturday's result has really sort of put, you know, buoyancy amongst West Ham fans. So we go into Thursday now, probably with, you know, with optimism, which is not something that we could have said after we played Brentford there before we played Arsenal, and it was absolutely crap. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Thursday. I am looking forward to it. I always look forward to when we play Leicester because we get to chat to you.
I know, it's good. Let's get my other mate in, Big P. Paul, how are you?
Evening, Jack. Evening, Russ.
Yeah,
Look, listen, Jack, don't be all doom and gloom, mate. There's light at the end of the tunnel somewhere.
I don't know where it will be at Leicester, but I'm sure it's better off at West Ham.
Mate, I echo what Russ said. You know, our last home game, mate, we were poor. We were a poor side, but the result Saturday should kick us on. And I think Potter's first win, and correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, but that's Potter's first win as a West Ham manager.
Second win.
Second. So,
yeah.
And he's gone to Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So, but our home form hasn't been great. But as Russ said, the youth team players seem to be coming through now, and that's what his philosophy. And there's a bit of optimism from West Ham fans at the moment. And Thursday night, I'm hoping that we can push on.
This is kind of where I looked at it with Leicester, Big P. You know, the youth coming through. You know, your Jake Evans, your Jeremy Mongers, your Braid Brooks, your Alvezes, your players like that who can have the opportunity to express themselves and prove they're up to the speed of the first team, you know. And Obviously, Will Havers is doing all right at Cardiff. Sammy Braybrook, he's not really been doing a lot. You look at Chris Popov, I think he's at, where was he? Barrow up on Furnace. In Barrow, I think they're League Two, aren't they? So it'd be good to see Van Nistelrooy bring the younger players through, give them an opportunity to see if they can do more than what the current squad's doing. Because this current squad in time, it's just getting battered. It's getting really to the point of the squad's given up. Some players, you could say I got passion, the Vardys, the El Canuses, the Buonottis. Then you look at other players' characters and you're just thinking, mate, you just don't care, do you? You're just there to make up the numbers. And this is not what you want, is it, Russ, in a squad? You've got a manager who's coming in a relegation battle who some would say would probably have been someone else like a Moyes for this situation. But what's your initial thoughts on Van Nistelrooy at Leicester?
Well, I remember we spoke just before, obviously, the game at King Power. And obviously, Ruud was in, and I was nervous because it was a manager bounce, and you had the bounce, but it was just like a flat football. It bounced, and that was it. That's all you've done since then. I think it was a brave decision. Yeah. It was I think at the time I called it a Hail Mary because it really was. I mean, they could have played it simple. They could have played it easy. They could have gone out and got David Moyes. They could have gone out and got someone who's, a little bit older in the tooth. There's plenty of them still around. But they took a gamble. It could have paid off. I mean, you guys. We had so many shots for that game.
Was it?
Something like that, the most ever in the Premier League without scoring or something like that. But it was just one of those days where it weren't going in for us. So it's a shame because I've always got, as you know, I've got a soft spot for Leicester. I went to uni at Loughborough, so I'd go to Filbert Street at that time quite often because it was just down the road. But it just seems I just think it's just a failed experiment. I agree with Big P. I think, is it a situation now where they go, do you know what, we're done now? Let's start playing the kids, because a lot of those first teamers are going to fuck off.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to go. So actually, the best thing that happened for us in 2002, we went down on 42 points. And we had Joe Cole, we had Carrick, David James, Defoe, we had all these players, and it cleared the decks. We got in Pardew, and then we started building like loads of the youth team. Anton Ferdinand, Elliot Ward. We brought some young players in like Ria Coker, and it changed the club from being a club. Well, until next time we went down, but it changed the club in terms of just really clearing the decks, bringing it back to because I think for you, as you said, you'd rather see a youth team player make their, then someone who's a mercenary and someone who's like a journeyman. You've got, and I think that's the trouble with West Ham and under Lopetegui particularly, is we didn't have any kids, we didn't have any youth team, we had nothing to really sort of associate ourselves with. So it's not great, but I think it could be a blessing in disguise for you. Really, it might sort out everything you want to sort out, get complete clean sweep and start again. And but I don't think Ruud is the man to take you back up.
I mean, if we go down,
he's gone.
I don't kind of see us coming back up, to be fair. I think this is where you'll see a lot of the young players coming in, like Ben Nelson coming through, players like that who would really relish in the Championship. Leicester, one of them clubs now, you want a squad which is, with fight, passion. You go back to the 14-15 season, Big P. Obviously, first game we won was West Ham at home. Sorry to bring that up, but it did start the Great Escape off. I think it was within like the 9 games. I think we lost 1, drawn 1, and won 7. So West Ham was obviously the first game. This squad compared to that squad, obviously, there was a lot more fight and passion in that 14-15 squad. A lot more where you'd say, Leicester were never getting battered. I know they lost 3-1 to Chelsea that season, but they never got battered in games. They had a manager who were very strict on the eye, who'd really keep pushing them and want them to carry on fighting. And then they did. They pulled off the greatest escape in Premier League history. But this side just doesn't even come close to it, does it, Big P, when you compare them two sides?
Nowhere near it, mate. And I think you have to blame the people at the top for that.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you look at your Vardys, your Ndidis, that for me are Leicester through and through, because if they wasn't, they would have gone by now. They're good enough to walk into, well, back in their prime, they were good enough to walk into many, many Premier League sides, if not all of them, by your Cities and your Liverpools. But for me, it starts at the top. You've got to look at the top and what's filtering down. And obviously, since the tragic accident of your chairman, unfortunately for me, I feel like Leicester's just been a downhill spiral since then. And Jack, we've spoken on the phone about it, and I said to you, is it time for the son now to sell the football club because he can't take it in the direction that his dad was? Do you know what I mean? And what his dad did for the community up there was brilliant, and what he did for the football team. You had some great times. You won the Premier League under him. But for me, it starts at the top. When they've lost interest at the top, it just filters down. And we've seen it as West Ham fans, mate. Like, let's not beat around the bush. Golden Sullivan weren't the best of owners, and the fans have laid off them recently because of the recent success we've had. But it's only a matter of time, and we're seeing that now at Leicester, the protesting, and it just filters down, mate. It does filter down. People say to me, "Oh, players don't look on social media, and they got social media managers." Of course they do. They see what you're writing. They see what's going on in the newspapers. And for me, just touching on Ruud van Nistelrooy, he had 4 good games at Man United, and Leicester have gone off that and gone and got him as their manager. And for me, you had to be looking at a David Moyes to come in there and really sort of put the horns up, so to speak, like he has at Everton. He's gone there. He's turned Beto into one of the best Premier League strikers in the last couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? And scoring goals. He couldn't have barn door before Moyes got there. And like, as much as me and Russ, I don't know how Russ feels about it, but the only problem with David Moyes was his style of football for me. What he achieved at the club was fantastic, and I will never, ever take that away from him. But it was just his style of football. But some clubs that suits, and it would suit a Leicester down to the ground, heat you up.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Moyes was the right manager at the right time for us, and I just think he outstayed his welcome for about a year, a season, much. But it really, as I said, when they appointed Ruud, as I said, for me it was literally right. Okay, it's shit or bust, isn't it? Really, and I think I respected the fact that they tried something different. They could have gone out and got Alan Pardew or someone like that, just as a bit of a firefighter, a Big Sam, or that type of player, manager, just to try and give you a chance. But it was almost like, look, let's try and do it differently. Respect to him trying it, but it just hasn't worked out. And I can't see Ruud as the type of manager who's going to have the kahunas to get you back up in the Championship. It's a different type of manager. You need someone like, look at how good Scott Parker's done at Burnley at the moment, and Farke, and some really good managers who couldn't do it in the Premier League really, but they were set, completely suited to the Championship. And it's not an easy league to get out of, as you know, but I just can't see it happening now. I just think it's too far gone now, in all honesty. She says it's a shame because I really like Leicester. Yeah. But, we might join the Cup next year or something like that instead. We can have a chat.
Do you think, Jack, that it's unrealistic to think like this, right? And I'm going to put this question to you, right? Yeah. You go down, which it looks inevitable at the moment.
Yeah.
And Jamie Vardy goes in there as a manager next year in that Championship. Someone that understands Leicester Football Club, someone that understands the passion and desire that's needed on the pitch. The fans will love it.
This is what Leicester needed. And I said this when Wes Morgan retired, Mark Albright and them types of players, People who know what it takes at the club, who know what the club's about. And this is the thing. We've not gave them roles at the club. We've let them go to other clubs. You look at Albright and we've let him go to Villa. You've got Wes Morgan who's gone to Forest to do their academy and that. You're thinking they could really have offered something at Leicester. You look at Andy King. He's now coming as a coaching role at Leicester. which he knows the club through and through. He's a legend at the club, and that's what we needed more of. Maybe we could have got someone like Nigel Pearson as director of football, but Leicester's problems are on and off the pitch, and big decisions need to be made. The board needs a big reshuffle. That squad needs a massive shake-up, because at the start of the season, I always said it was going to be a tough season, but it's how tough you make it on yourselves. And Leicester have done far more than make it tough on ourselves. We're where we are because we haven't done enough. Obviously, we've had Cooper, it didn't work out. You brought Rude in, and things haven't improved, have they? I know we beat West Ham, Tottenham, picked up a few points here and there against Brighton at home, but the home form's been quite something. Let's be fair. We've gone 6 straight Premier League home defeats now without scoring, and that's even worrying, because in the Premier League, P, you'd know it yourself, to stay up in this league, you've got to be winning your Premier League games. At home, you've got to be scoring. You always talk about it with away games. It's a bonus if you pick the points up, but your home one is where
you've got
to be very good at, and if Leicester ain't got that, well, what chance have you got? Because after that defeat at Brentford on Friday night, I don't even know where this squad goes from here. It's like there's no trust now in from the fans to these players to think, these players ain't got what it takes to keep us up.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you look at the backroom staff and look at West Ham and you go into our academy, you look at the 23s and Russ will tell you, Steve Potts and Robson are the managers, both played for the club. You go further down, Mark Noble's there. You go even lower than that. I think the under 12s and under 14s is done by Colton Cole. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like most of our academy players are now being brought through ex-pros that played at the club.
It's something which we, as I said, I do a lot of work with the academy, and it's headed up by Kenny Brown, who obviously used to play for West Ham. He said you've got Kevin Keane there, who is sort of the 18s and 21s go between you. You're right, Mark Robson, Steve Potts, Zavon Hines, Freddie Sears has taken under 12s, and so it's something which we've done in terms of the academy, so leading them through, and but we haven't really. Obviously, we had under Moyes, we had Kevin Nolan, obviously Mark Noble's sort of our technical sporting director. So there is that still a thread of West Hamness, and I think that seems definitely to be the way that Leicester need to, if more than anything, just to get the fans behind them again, and know that there's someone fighting their corner. As a fan, as a fan, so to speak, but you know what I mean, sort of one of your own. So, it does seem the way to go, because you want the kids coming through, because they'll be needed more than anything next year, in all honesty, if it is in the Championship, and understanding what it is to play for Leicester, understanding what it is to play for the badge, and everything that involves, because that's what Nobe still does with new players. He sits them down and they do a PowerPoint presentation with videos about what it is to play for West Ham, and it's and even with all of that, there's still a slight disconnect, I think, between the fan base and the club. It's horrible to it's almost like you're sort of on death row at the moment, it seems, isn't it? It's like you're not officially relegated, but you sort of kind of are feeling it's like the last right.
Happen, but it's when.
Exactly,
And we're seeing the benefits of that now, aren't we, Russ? Like when you look at Saturday, Ollie Scars comes in, 19-year-old, but we've got Potsy out on loan. We've got who's the other one? Potts and Earthy out on loan. They're both doing well at their current loan clubs. But Caelan Casey's played this year for West Ham against Brentford, I think. No, Bournemouth he come on. And Lewis Alford's come on. But these players 2 years ago, they went and won the FA Youth Cup. They went and won the league that they were competing in. And I remember them parading around the ground. Do you know what I mean? So if they're doing that, we're now seeing the best of these players now coming into our first team. And that's the one thing that I think Graham Potter got spot on in his news press conference, was the fact that he said, I've had a chat with Noble and it's now about bringing through the youth products instead of splashing cash.
I think in all honesty, BP, I think the way I see it, I think Potter's been a bit lucky. In all honesty, he's inherited a side now, which, to be honest, we're not going to finish top 10. We're not going to finish in Europe. but it's got the ability now to win some fans quite quickly by playing some of the kids, which is obviously one of the big criticisms of Lopetegui. And someone like Lewis Orford, someone like Ollie Scarles, these have got another 6-10 months than when Lopetegui had them, in all honesty. And so, I think they're great players, and when they should be playing. And I think Ollie Scarles will now be our starting left wing back. Now I think Emerson's gone in the summer, but it's taken us. I think if we were still challenging, like for 7th or 8th, I don't think you'd see as many minutes for the academy, in all honesty. But that's hindsight. You just force it. Just. But I think you're right, and I think it's a way to save a lot of money as well, and for you guys as well, Jack. You think you mentioned all these players out on loan, and obviously the issue with kids at the moment is because we haven't got reserve team football. They're having to utilise the loan market to get them first team football. So actually the benefit of them going to Barrow and going to that is next season you'll fucking need them, because you'll be getting rid of all the mercenaries. And they've got 10, 15, 20 league games under their belt already. One of my mates is I've got this. This is brilliant. This is why kids don't develop now. Where is it? This is where is it? I had it there. This was so a guy called Izzy Itkapen. Izzy Itkapen won the FA Youth Cup in 1999 with Joe Cole and Carrick and that lot, right? And this was his team sheet for reserve team football. This is why we don't get as many players come through the youth system anymore. Right, so that reserve team against Chelsea, Bogota, John Terry, this is reserve football. Carlton Cole, Zola, Zendon, Steve Potts. This is reserve team football. This is why you don't get the players developing, because they can't do that anymore. They're playing against 21s and stuff. So sending your guys out on loan to Barrow, it's a subject I'm so passionate about. But it's brilliant because you fucking need them.
You do. I agree.
More than anything, it's about getting the feel, isn't it, for the first team environment?
Yeah, it's different.
Because it's about stepping on that team bus, staying in the hotel on the Friday night before the game. And I think that's what's key, especially to these kids these days.
Let's talk about the game. West Ham v Leicester. I mean, Van Nistelrooy's got to change a hell of a lot this game. He likes the feel of, it just feels like Dad's army up front at this point.
He knows them, doesn't he? It's like it's like Moyes would always do that. When Moyes wanted a result, he'd play Aaron Cresswell. So he'd play all of his generals, and 9 times out of 10 they'd get a result. It'd always be the game that he was going to be sacked if he lost. And when that game's got, he'd always say, so Rude respects and knows what he's going to get with Vardy. People like that. So I know it's Dad's army, but the thing is, these guys have got experience. That's the issue.
Just, you need a Mavididi in there on Thursday night, a Buonanotte. See, Buonanotte and Van Nistelrooy probably ain't met the eye to eye over a few conversations they've had since Van Nistelrooy's been here. He's not been the starter, what he was under Steve Cooper. Mavididi's been very much hit and miss, if I'm honest with you. He's not really upgraded himself from the Championship, I feel. You look at the defence. How do you change a defence? You played every defender this season, what we've got, and none of them have made a difference. You played fast, Vestergaard, Akoli, Connor Cody. None of them centre-backs have done a lot, to what you want. You played Luke Thomas, Christensen. But Thomas has done more than Christensen this season in about 1.5 games. You've got Justin in there, who's been very lacking. You've got Woyo Koulibaly, who's got a heart of a lion, I feel. I think he could really give something right back, but he's not going to do on his own. Then you've got the midfield generals of Samare and Ndidi, but then you've got Winks and Skip, and it's the case of, for me, Leicester need width against West Ham. We know how tough this game's going to be. If we don't get going, if we concede that first goal, it could probably end up like the Brentford game again, where you've got the quality of Bowen, Kudus, them types of players to really hit us on the over the top and that, who can really score and put us to bed quite convincingly. But then Leicester's big issue is we can't defend at all. We've conceded 59 Premier League goals this season in the 26 that we've played already, and that's worrying, isn't it, for any Premier League side. Shipping a lot of goals and not scoring enough goals, it's a massive issue, isn't it, Big P?
Yeah, it's huge, mate. And look, talking about Thursday's games, I generally think it's going to be closer than what people are.
Fantastic, Dave. Little glimmer of hope, mate.
Than what people are making out here, because you caused us. I know we had 30 shots on goal, but our back line is very suspect especially when it comes to pace. Now we've seen, especially me and Russ, last week at Brentford, when we see Mbermo and Wissa just basically walk through our back line. And this is the problem with West Ham. We haven't got much pace at the back. Now you look at your forward line in Vardy, 38, but still quite quick. Mavididi, Boanote and Elsu. Do you know what I mean? They're quick players. So you could cause us some problems. But if we keep the ball when we play, I'm hoping he starts up the same way we started at Arsenal. Against Brentford, he started 4 at the back. I'm hoping he goes with a 5 at the back Thursday night, and because I think we look like a better side, especially the way Potter wants to play. But I feel if we keep holding the ball and we play that possession-based game, it could be a cricket score. But I think if we let you have the ball, it could not be a cricket score, but it'd be on the other end, and you could cause us a few problems.
Yeah, Leicester's issue this season's been we've not really offered a lot in attack. You know, teams have a lot more shots against us than we have against them. You seen West Ham last time they played us 30 shots, and we managed to score the goals that we had on target. You know, Daka scoring, Vardy scored. I forgot who scored the second. Was it El Canoes? Was it? Yeah, was it? Yeah, El Canoes. And then the West Ham striker Fulkrug scored, didn't he? The last goal. And this is a lot's changed since we played you lot massively off on the pitch. You know, it just feels like the effort's not there. You know, it is from certain individuals like your El Canuses and that, but then you look at other players, it's like they're not putting in the shift. You know, they're not challenging enough. They're not putting in foots for challenges and tackling and showing that real mental strength to your game. What you need to have, the shirt, you fight for the shirt, and I just don't think this squad's got it at all. You know, I think this squad compared is very lack of quality. I think this squad is more Championship level than Premier League level, if I'm honest. But how does this squad pick itself up from a 4-0 defeat against Brentford? Because Brentford gave us a good add-in for our troubles. And how do Leicester pick themselves up, Russ, ahead of West Ham on Thursday?
Well, I think they just got to play with no fear, really. You know what I mean? It's like they come to a situation now where, in all likelihood, you're more likely to go down than you are staying up. And actually, you know, a lot of the players should be playing for their next deal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, until last week, you know, until Saturday, I don't think there's many clubs who would have taken Caduso based on his performances this season. He's been shocking. But against a team that he's been linked to going, he's fucking prime Ronaldo on Saturday. And I think, you know, for a lot of these guys now, for a lot of the Leicester guys, you've got to thinking, we ain't going to be here next season. You know, I want to move next season. And actually, you know, I mean, we're looking at people like Harwood Bellis from Southampton at the moment. Yeah. You know, and Southampton have conceded more goals than you have. But we want to get their centre half and maybe their goalkeeper as well. And it's like, well, there's the opportunity now for these players to put themselves in the shop window for the next dozen games or so. But I mean, you know, we're still a frail side. We're still a very frail side, particularly under the stadium as well. You know, if you can hold the ball off us and quieten that crowd down, they will get quiet very quickly. You know, yes, they'll be buoyant from the Arsenal game, but it doesn't take a lot for them to swing either way. And so, you know, that particular, you know, if you go 1-up or whatever, fucking hell, you know, that'll be awful. You know, the crowd will turn pretty sharpish. If I'm honest. Pretty sharpish. And so, you know, yes, we kept a clean sheet on Saturday. Yes, we beat Arsenal. Yes, they hadn't lost it all season, or whatever it was at the Emirates or whatnot. But that's over with now. It means nothing that game on Saturday means nothing unless we get something on Thursday.
And bearing in mind, this is an Arsenal team that still had 26, 27 shots on goal.
Yeah, it weren't like one-way traffic at all.
Yeah. So we are. I definitely agree with Russ. We are very, very vulnerable still, and you can exploit us with that pace you've got going forward.
I tell you what, if I even Deco overeating bloody up front on against West Ham, mate, I don't think you'd have to worry about Leicester's attack. Let's be honest. Let's have a look at a few stats. I've got 5 stats here. Let me get rid of this logo. Leicester have won each of their last 3 Premier League games against West Ham, more than they had in their previous 10 beforehand. Two wins, 4 draws, 4 defeats. West Ham have lost just one of their last 14 Premier League games against promoted sides, winning 11, drawing 2. Though it was against Leicester in the reverse fixture in December at home, they'd won 8 of their last 9 against promoted teams in the league, drawing 1. Since a 2-1 loss to Brentford in October 2021. Leicester are the only side without an away clean sheet in the Premier League so far this season, conceding 32 goals across their 12 games on the road this term. So, yeah, Big P, I don't think you'd have to worry about us bloody scoring, mate. We don't look like we score many much. Leicester have lost 10 of their last 11 Premier League games, winning 1, including each of their last 3 by an aggregate score of 10-0. The Foxes haven't lost more successive league matches while also failing to score in each since a run of 5 from January to February 2017 in what would provide to be title-winning Claudio Ranieri's managed 5 last games of charge of the club. Having won their first 5 Premier League home games against Leicester between 1994 and 1999, West Ham have now won 4 of their 11 against the Foxes on home soil in the division, drawn 2, lost 5.
And also, I was doing them for our channel as well, the stats. And I think for you guys, I don't think there's no players in the Leicester squad that have played every Premier League game this season.
No.
Which again shows, one of the reasons is the lack of consistency and the lack of, most teams have got 4 or 5 who have played every game.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really telling. But yeah, the stats are in your favour. You are a bogey team, in all honesty, in terms of history. But unfortunately, I think, as you said, this is I think it's even a different team than when we played you a few weeks ago, in all honesty. It seems in terms of morale and stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And our side as well. I mean, we were down in the doldrums, really. We had Lopetegui. It was like the club was on its arse, really. The last sort of 4 or 5 weeks have been reinvigorating, really, from a West Ham perspective with Graham Potter.
Yeah. How's Graham Potter come in and change things from Lopetegui?
I mean,
has it improved?
Yeah, I think it's improved. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, stats-wise, actually, I think we have had less shots and all this type of stuff in terms of than we had under Lopetegui. But he talks a good game.
Yeah.
So press conferences, interviews, and I think generally, looking back in our history, West Ham performed better with a British-based manager. So when we're not set up for a foreign-based man. Some clubs are. Arsenal, Chelsea, they're used to having European football, so used to having like a European star manager. Us, Lopetegui, Pellegrini, Bilic's second year, Grant, Zola. Nah, Pardew, Moyes, Allardyce in our modern history. Yeah, so I just think he's instilled a bit, and because we've got that sort of we understand what the manager's saying as well, in all honesty. It's like press conferences. I used to cover them for our channel. I used to have a bit of a joke with the Lopetegui press conferences. I used to call it the focus meter and the for sure monitor, because that's basically all we would say. Graham Potter speaks a good game, and as Big P says, he's got the fans on board very quickly by putting the kids on. And and on Saturday against Arsenal, against a side that at the Emirates, he puts a 19-year-old on left wing back rather than the safe option, which would have been to play Emerson. So he's happy to take risks. He's moved Kudus into more of a 10 role rather than drifting out onto the left-hand side. And to be fair, he's done well with he hasn't had everyone there. Fulkrug got injured 30 minutes into his first game, and that would have been pivotal to the way he's set up. Somerville hasn't played since the first half. He's out until April, and so Bowen broke his foot. Obviously, Michael Antonio's in the car crash. Fulkrug's out, so he's still managed to play some decent football. You can see what he's trying to do as well, where we never saw that with Lopetegui. There was no identity. And we're almost treating this as like a massive pre-season for next season, in all honesty. So he's sort of weeding all them out, but he just and he's like the academy. Obviously, I was down the academy. We played on last Friday, the Valentine's Day, and they're buzzing. They're absolutely buzzing with Potter now, because they've seen what Ollie can do. They've seen us. He's played 3 or 4 of the kids already. From being down in the doldrums 5 weeks ago, it's a complete role reversal, really.
And I think the nice thing about it is where we was under Lopetegui, we were shipping goals left, right, and centre. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
He's come in and shored that defence up, and like Stamford, like Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, we probably should have got something from the game, if not all 3 points. Defensively, we look good. Saturday. Again, Arsenal had a lot of shots on goal, but a lot of them 20, 25 yards out. Defensively, we look good. Do you know what I mean? We just need that burst of pace at the back for me, personally. You've got a Wan-Bissaka there, arguably, for me, is probably one of the best right-backs in the division, one-on-one defensively. But we just need to instill a bit of pace there, and hopefully with Todibo coming back, I know he played Saturday, or he played 60 minutes Saturday, and hopefully that pace is now going to be there with him, and I'd like to see him start again on Thursday night. But yeah, under Potter, I think West Ham are in a good place. We are now building for next season, and I keep saying it. We're going to build for next season. Let's just see what he could bring in the summer transfer market. I don't think we need a lot. I think we need a new goalkeeper, maybe a new centre half, and maybe a new midfielder. But I don't think we need a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, Leicester need a bloody hell of a lot in the summer.
Well, I think it will be. I mean, and I would assume that Leicester are already planning for that, because they will know the players are on the big contracts. They will know the players they have to ship.
I'll tell you what, though, Ross, Leicester couldn't plan a birthday party.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. You look at our board, they can't even deal with bloody financial stuff and that to bring in players in. So I don't know what chance we're going to have in bloody getting ins and outs in the summer, because this is the problem. You got Hermanson, who's going to leave. Elkan, someone will snap him up, won't they? He's a good player. He's very technically gifted. Buonotto will go back to Brighton. You've got someone to snap up Ndidi. I know Atletico Madrid have been looking at him, so maybe they'll take him. Fass is Leicester want to get rid of him in the summer, so I think that's maybe Fass is just throwing the towel now. Like, well, I'm going in the summer anyway, so I don't care anymore. It's done. Vardy, I don't know what the future holds. Will he retire at the end of the season? It remains to be seen, and then this is it, it's how you sort of plan, because when you go down to the Championship, and I think with Leicester, they're very resigned to going down to the Championships. If we speak to Leicester fans now, some have that real glimmer of hope still, which you can always have as a fan, can't you, to be fair? But, you kind of look at it with bringing a few younger players through, like I say, but DFL are going to throw the book at Leicester in the summer. They're going to look at Leicester and think, points deduction, maybe a transfer embargo, whatever it is, because they didn't catch us last time. So this time they're going to be like rubbing their hands at this point. Last game of the season, we're thinking, wait till Leicester's relegation's confirmed, mate. We're going to come and knock on your door then, and they'll be like the bloody bailiffs. Do you get what I mean? We're going to take you for everything you've got.
I mean, you got some. I mean, I was just looking at the squad now, and you got to think who's the real sellable assets, because that's what they'll be doing straight away, asset stripping to make sure they're balancing the books. And you've got some decent players in terms of guys who'll probably hang around.
Yeah.
Bobby Reed will probably hang around, and
there's
a few others. And
Ross from Dan.
I'm playing Triple H probably. He's a West Ham fan. I do tend to play although randomly, I suppose it's Elimination Chamber on Saturday, isn't it? So maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll play John Cena or the Rock's new one. But yeah, maybe. Obviously, I do tend to play the game Triple H because obviously being a West Ham fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I've been playing CM Punk because it's like quite a cool tune, Cult of Personality. It depends. There's me and Peter. Peter's the Arsenal DJ, and we sort of compare notes because he does it as well. So
see where they're getting from.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let's have a look at the last 5. 2 wins each, 1 draw. I mean, had these 2 sides split, who gets the 3rd win? I mean, there's just no confidence going into this game. There's hope, of course there is. It's the hope that kills you in football, isn't it? As a football fan, that little glimmer of hope to think, could we actually pull something out of the bag in this game? And then you look how we've performed all season. It's like, yeah, about that. But then to go, what is it? 10 defeats in that. I think it's 11 defeats in the last 12. I think it is 10 or in 11. I don't know, but like they're the stats. But
it's mental, isn't it?
It don't give you any confidence, does it? If this were West Ham on the other foot, and you were facing Leicester, you'd just be like, yeah, well.
In a West Ham way, if we were facing Leicester and we were in that situation, we'd have got no chance. If we were facing Arsenal or something like that, we'd fancy ourselves because that's just us. We were shit on as Big P against Brentford. That was the worst game I've probably seen for a long time. Yeah. And then, but we all fancied the game against Arsenal because that is just what being a West Ham fan's all about. And it wouldn't surprise me if you guys win on Thursday, just because that is such a West Ham thing to happen. We beat Arsenal at the Emirates and we'll lose against you guys. It's just. But that's why I love being a West Ham fan, because nothing's a foregone conclusion at West Ham ever. Even when we sign a player, it's not a foregone conclusion until the social media post. I would like to think we'd win. I'd like to think the boy Evan Ferguson will start up front. He's due to start soon. He's been on the bench. He's come on. He's played like half an hour. He played 20 minutes against Arsenal. So I'd like to see him. If he plays, we don't need to play the 3 midfielders like we did against Arsenal. So I'd then like to see maybe that give Kudus a bit more time off the ball and Bowen. I'd like to see us win.
I'd have your hand off for Leicester winning, Ross, honestly.
Of course you would. Of course you would, mate. Of course you would.
Well, that desperate, it's like a bloody Sam Allardyce appointment to getting a win at Leicester.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like that for me. That would have been the obvious choice rather than Rude.
I don't think we were that desperate at the time.
No, exactly.
No, but if you come to the last 6 games of the season and you're probably at a point out the relegation, you think to yourself, yeah, because if you look at him at Leeds, what did he come in for? Last 4 games, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
And it just didn't work out for him, did he? He just went for the paycheck, didn't he, in the end? And
yeah, of course.
Leicester, will Van Nistelrooy be here by game week 38? I know he's talked about his future today. About I'm not a manager who's in the 5 to 6 month. I've got 2 years from this to of a future at Leicester. But the question is, will he be with Leicester City in the Championship?
But Jack, we've spoken at length about this, and I'm on the understanding that Rude's had a lot of broken promises.
Yeah, he has.
So
this is the board again.
I don't think he'll be there for too long, mate. I really don't.
The relationship's broken when you come in as a manager. They'll promise you money and whatever else, and then you go into a January transfer window where he needed to bring in players. It would make or break for Leicester, and if he didn't bring in players, it was always going to be an uphill task for Leicester, like it's climbing Mount Everest. You know what I mean? It's if you can make that bloody plunge to the top. But the board have lied to him. They said he got funds. It turned out he didn't. And it's like, that's the relationship broken already. This is where the fans have come very much angry because none of the big decisions are being made and they're not backing the managers in the way they should. Obviously, I know Steve Cooper had money in the summer, but we wasted money in the summer. You know what I mean? We didn't bring in quality. We brought in more experience and that's it. You know, you spend bloody 25 million on Oliver Skip, 13 million on Caleb Okoli. You know, it's taking a gamble on Caleb Okoli coming from the Serie A to the Premier League, which is more quicker football, you know. So Leicester's downfall has been very much the last few years. And when Brendan Rodgers were here, it was the case that after the Forest game, he threw the team under the bus. Of course he did. But he also said to the board, we need a rebuild, a massive rebuild to reshuffle everything. And in that summer, I think we ended up losing that centre-back who went to Chelsea. I'm not going to mention his name because he don't deserve a mention. Do you know what I mean? But you know I'm on about. But yeah, it's the case that the board never backed him with that big rebuild, you know, and then Brendan, I think Brendan knew more than he let on. Obviously, Enzo were pissed off as well when he heard about the board, called it out. He wanted a new sporting director and this, that, and the other, and maybe that should have happened, but it's like the board are out of their depth, and it's like Van Nistelrooy's out of his depth. His hands are very much tied. It's like people say change something, but what do you actually change? Will this thing go on if you do change it? But it's like plan A, but better, in it. There's like, where is plan B? What is plan B? What's plan C? I mean, you could go through bloody everything, couldn't you, to be fair?
Do you think they got rid of Steve Cooper a tad too early?
Steve Cooper's football wasn't the best. He just didn't have an identity of a style of football and the way he wanted to play. And the players never took on board to Steve Cooper. It never worked out from the manager and the players and that, you know. But Steve Cooper always made us hard to beat. We always scored in games. You know, he picked up points against teams you won't think about picking up points at. You know, we beat Bournemouth this season 1-0 at the King Power, and people thought, yeah, look at the form Bournemouth's on, you know. Leicester are going to go and beat them. We did. And, you know, but the only time we actually conceded 3 goals was against Man United, a poor Man United side, and that was Steve Cooper's one of his worst games in charge. And it were always Steve Cooper, you know what you're going to get: defensive, low block football, and it's not pretty, is it, Big P? You know about it under David Moyes.
It's not pretty, but it's effective, and I think arguably looking back in, and obviously hindsight's a great thing.
Yeah,
it would probably be the best thing to do for a season or two, you know, in terms of establishing yourself in the Premier League and then moving on and developing. You know, I think that was always the thing with Moyes. Moyes came in and steadied the ship, and I think, or twice really, and then it got to a point where I think we were settled.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now we want more.
That's what I mean.
And so, but I think maybe you guys weren't settled enough. You know, sometimes it's like we always demand more as fans. We demand more goals, more entertainment. But the be-all and end-all is, for every Premier League club, is to stay in the Premier League first and foremost. You know, West Ham, for example, every year the board budget for 11th. Yeah. That's literally it. So bang in the middle, and then sometimes you'll have a good season and you finish 8th, 7th, might get into Europe. Some seasons you might have a 13th, 14th finish, but that's sort of it. And then, you know, now I think with Potter, we're trying to build a legacy now, it seems. But maybe Big P, maybe it was a case of, you know, I hate expression, be careful what you wish for, but it was almost that, you know, sometimes the football was not great, but as you said, they were hard to beat. And, you know, when you're languishing in the bottom of the Premier League, that's where you need to be.
Yeah, Armchair talks about Cooper was a reactionary. It was. Yeah. It wasn't what Leicester wanted. It was just a desperate appointment, if that's what you want to call it. You know, it weren't well thought through. Because this is the thing with our board. They rush into decisions, and then when they do, and they panic and start pressing the bloody panic button, you could bring bloody Ryan Bennett back to the club. Do you get what I mean? And he was one of our worst centre-backs on loan. And, you know, this is Leicester's thing, innit? They've been very desperate in some of the decisions they've made, and it's cost us.
And let's be fair, you was at a stage where Maresca left, but you didn't have to be that quick in making an appointment because you still had the pre-season to go. You know, like, we get rid of Lopetegui, and we know we have to get a manager in within a couple of weeks because we're halfway through a season. Do you know what I mean? And with Leicester, you had time to just sit down and think about who do we need, who do we get, what style of football do we want? Because they were away on holiday.
Brought it through at all. You know, you look at Enzo, the style of football he brought to the club, and that was the blueprint in it to going forward. And then you've done a whole 360 circle from Enzo to Steve Cooper's football, which is an whole different slap in the face. And then you've gone from Cooper ball to Van Nistelrooy ball. Van Nistelrooy ball's not working at all. Ruud seems very stubborn in changing things. You know, he goes for the same things, but a little better, and it just isn't working for him. And he needs to change things before it's too late. But I just think now it's like they're thrown in the towel, in it. They know what the situation's going to be, what we've got ourselves into, but we've got ourselves to blame. Leicester's positioning this season, I said it to Big P early on in the season. He said, where are you going to finish? I said, 17th is where you need to focus this season with everything that's going on. And does it look like we've got enough to finish 17th? I just think Wolves have got a lot more. You look at them tonight against Fulham and that, you know, they've got a lot.
They lost. They did lose tonight, so they lost tonight. So, you know, it's if a win happens on Thursday, it's not, you know, it makes it closer. Yeah, you've got something to. It's not you haven't got something to fight for. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, if Ruud gets them up for it, anything's possible in this. I mean, Christ, we've seen all these bloody. You know, it's been the weirdest Premier League season ever. Anyone's beating everyone. I mean, Palace put 4 past Villa today. You know, I mean,
three of the poorest sides down the bottom, though, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, you would have predicted at the beginning of the season the bottom 3 probably being the bottom 3 it is now. But in the same way, if someone said to me, "You're going to finish the season above Spurs and Man United," I'll be like, "Brilliant, here we go, Europe." But no, it's like 12th. Do you know what I mean? It's like this season is just mad. It's been a mad season.
It has. Let's have a look at last time round at the London Stadium. A bit more positive news. West Ham 0, Leicester City 2. James Maddison scored in that game. I think Harvey Barnes scored as well, I believe, in that one. Harvey Barnes obviously loves a goal against West Ham, Big P.
Cheers.
Big P's not Harvey Barnes' biggest admirer. Let's be fair.
No, but that comes down to my travel to Newcastle last year when we were 3-0 up and Harvey Barnes comes on and rips us a new one on Easter weekend. So there is a bit of context behind it. It's not that I don't like him. It was the fact that I travelled like 600 miles all round trip for Harvey Barnes to rip us a new one, and he come off the bench and we were 3-0 up.
This was one of them games, wasn't it, Russ, where you lot wasn't great. Leicester were on a bit of a run of form before the World Cup. But then after Leicester come back from the World Cup, it all went back downhill again, and then we ended up getting relegated. But yeah, 2-0 win last time round. How do you kind of feel this time? Obviously, 2 different squads now, aren't there? A lot's changed since the 2 squads. A lot's been pulled apart, and new players have been brought in, new managers. And how different is it going to be this time? You're on mute, Russ.
Sorry, I farted. I farted, and I thought I don't want to do it on camera. I thought I'd mute myself. It's going to be totally different than obviously last time we played you at London Stadium. I mean, the squad, literally, I'm just looking at the squad now, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 players maybe in that squad which can play. It's completely different. Same with you guys. You had like Dewsbury Hall and people like that playing as well, if I remember.
We've only got Vardy at the club still.
Yeah, I think that's it now. For me, and Vass in it. I think I think we'll win. I just think I'm a lot more confident than I was after Saturday.
That Arsenal game's a bit more of a lift for you, wasn't it?
Mate, it's exactly what the fan base needed because it wasn't like people were turning on Potter, but they were a little bit. It was like the moment, like we never have a manager bounce. No. You know, we've had all these new managers, but we never get the manager bounce. You know, everyone else gets a manager bounce. You got it against us, and that was it. As I said, and then just stopped.
Then we drew against, but you know, since then.
But we were like, so but there's still Potter was riding on the crest of a wave despite the results not happening. And then that Arsenal game has gone. Actually, he knows what he sort of. We can see, actually the results are happening now, and so he'll get everyone firing for this game. And as I said, we'll probably have 10 of the 11 will start. I think from the Arsenal game. I think, as I said, I think Ferguson will start on Thursday, and I think the fans will really respond to that, seeing a striker, a forward up front rather than Jared Bowen, who I don't like as a forward up front. I just don't think it works. And hopefully we'll see a renewed sense of optimism, confidence. As Big P said, having Jean-Claire Todibo back in the side. I mean, he hasn't played for like 6 weeks, and he played against Arsenal like he didn't miss a beat. Albeit he's not fit really yet, but that makes a massive difference to us. And seeing players play with a smile on their face, that's what I want. It's been too serious at West Ham. You better enjoy it, and and we'll have the fireworks, we'll have the light shows, we'll have all that crap. We'll have we'll have all that stuff on Thursday as well, and I love all that. I love all that shit.
Yeah, we do a lot of that before kickoff. But Leicester go in.
Brilliant. Makes my job fucking easy. I tell you what. I just sit there and what. It's brilliant. I love it.
But now Leicester go into this game 2 wins in the last 13 since beating West Ham in the Premier League, of course. So yeah, not a great run going into it. I think we've kept one, and I don't think we've kept a clean sheet at all in the last 13. So, like I say, we're very poor on the road with keeping clean sheets and that, but can I see us keeping a clean sheet on Thursday night? No, I can't, to be fair, because Jared Bowen always scores against bloody Leicester. And I know Vardy loves a goal against West Ham. So, let's go through the starting 11. I mean, we'll let you two start first with West Ham. Who starts? Any changes you'd make? What do you reckon?
I think for me, I'm sure Big P will have a view, but I think it'll be. We know that Paqueta's definitely out. We know that what's name definitely Soufal will be out as well. So it's going to be pretty much the same side that played against Arsenal. I think, with the exception, of Ferg. I think it's time for Ferguson to start. And as I said, so it'll be Areola in goal, back three. I think Cresswell keeps his spot. Cresswell, Kilman, Todibo is a back three. Wan-Bissaka right wing back. Ollie the Scars left wing back. Then a midfield, rather than a three, midfield two, or probably Souček and JWP maybe, and then Kudus, Bowen, Ferguson up front. And I think that will probably be it. The midfield might change a little bit. It might be he might give Souček a rest maybe. He's played a lot of games recently, and Alvarez could play. But there's options, and we haven't had options at West Ham for a long time this season. Yeah, I think that's what I reckon. Can't be seeing changing much, to be honest.
I think Russ is nearly spot on. I think he may drop Ollie's Scars and bring back in Emerson, just for the fact if he goes with that striker, he knows that Emerson's got a delivery that he can play. And you'll notice on Thursday, when West Ham play, Emerson will push on, but then Cresswell will also overlap, which is our other centre-half, who also can deliver as well. So I think if it goes with Ferguson, we've got to play to his strengths. I'll probably see Emerson coming in for Ollie Scars. And again, I agree with Russ. I think we'll go with JWP and Souček, drop Alvarez in for Evan Ferguson. And just to say that since JWP's come back from Forest, he looks like a totally different player.
Yeah. We've missed him.
And I think we've missed him massively this season. I was gutted when we sent him out on loan.
Yeah.
But since he's come back, I think he's got to become a better player.
That was apparently one of the, was it straw that broke the camel's back with a lot of senior team at West Ham, the likes of Danny Ings and stuff against Lopetegui, because he made him vice captain, then sent him out on loan to Forest to then get Guido Rodriguez in, so it's like, that was apparently one of the things which they didn't like.
And the thing is, in the same transfer window, we let Downs go to Southampton and then we shipped Ward-Prowse out, and it was like, well, hang on a minute. Don't want to leave ourselves too short here. But he looks like a better player since he's come back, to be honest.
Yeah. Leicester, where do I start? I don't see the defence changing. I think I'd go Luke Thomas over Christensen. I think James Justin could return for West Ham, but I think he'll go with Koulibaly, fast. Do I think he'll go with Vestergaard over Okoli? He probably will, to be fair, knowing bloody Van Nistelrooy. Midfield 2, Ndidi and Samari. I don't think you change that too much. I think El Canoes. I'd go with Mavididi and Buonotti personally, but I think he's going to go with Decord over Reed and maybe go with bloody Ayew again. Vardy, he's going to go with. Maybe I'd give Daka a go. Just maybe or maybe go with Daka and Vardy up front as a 2. Try something different. But before I let you boys go, score prediction. How kind are you actually going to be towards us for this?
I'm going to say 2-1. I think it's going to be, as I agree with Big P, it's not going to be a foregone conclusion. I'm not being funny. It's 16th plays 18th or something like that in the league, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why we're in that position. But I think we'll sneak it. It's not going to be a cricket score or anything like that. It's going to be a lot closer because I think you guys have something to play for, particularly the result of Wolves today. I think if Wolves won today, I don't think. Yeah, it's not necessarily over, but it was almost like another nail in the coffin. But them losing today gives you guys a real opportunity to try and get something on Thursday, and then anything's possible in those last sort of games. There's no points at all to bring up.
Big Boo?
I think it's going to be high scoring, mate. I just think both defences are not great. And I think attacking, like you said, Leicester haven't been great, but obviously West Ham are vulnerable. I'm going to go 3-2 West Ham, and I think the high of Saturday will get us through. You know, the fans, as Russ has said, the fans when they come out of that tunnel Thursday night, Bubbles is going to go through the roof, mate, because of Saturday, and they will demand and expect a performance.
I tell you what, I think Leicester fans would even cheer bloody just scoring a goal on bloody Thursday night. Jesus, this is the golden answer for me now. It's my heart says we could get a draw. My head's like, yeah, wherever the point's going to come from, man. Leicester are not doing what we'd hope they should be doing. Do I think we'll score? I mean, we're really lacking in attack. And do I think we've got enough to get it, West Ham? I don't. I think El Canoes, he tries a lot on his own, you know, because there's nothing for him to galvanise him to getting anything going forward in attack. And I just think team selection could be a very deeming one as well. But I think my head's like, yeah, you lot could beat us if we go 1-0 down early on. It could be a long night for Leicester City at West Ham where you lot are going to feel very confident to putting us away quite quickly. So I tell you what, I'll go with I'll take my heart. My head's just like, nah, I don't see us getting any. But I never like going against my own team. That's the only thing.
Never go get your own team. I think the thing about us as well is after Thursday we don't play again until Monday the 10th.
Yeah,
because we actually play we play Newcastle. So you know
we play Chelsea.
Yeah. So we've got. So you know there'll be a little pot will say, you know, if you win, it's a typical sort of manager thing. If you win, you can have an extra day off, you know, because. Yeah. They're going to have it anyway. So, you know, it might give them a bit of a boost, you know, knowing they can have an extra day off or so, because that's what they always do, managers, when you've got like a longer break.
Yeah, I wish Leicester were like that. Bloody Seagrave's turned into an holiday camp. So, yeah, it's not ideal. But I tell you what, I'd snap your bloody hand off for a bloody point, maybe 3. But, yeah, we're banging trouble, Russ. And this is the thing, you know, there's just that. Sometimes there's that little bit of optimism, but how things are going at Leicester with only 2 wins in 13, it's worrying times. So
you are lucky though, because actually, just Mikel Antonio was going to come on the pitch before kickoff on Thursday, and that would have got the fans they would have been absolutely rocking. But he's decided he's not going to be there because he wants to continue his rehabilitation. Because
always scored against us, that bloke. Never
he'll come on and score. He'll bring his thing out again. He's
never in bloody doubt that guy scores against us.
He's cut up. Yeah, so that's one thing. He won't be there, so don't worry about that.
I hope he does make an appearance though before the end of the season. Talking about Antonio, and
could be
obviously the fans were going to do a massive thing for him, weren't they? And it's all been put on hold now. So
it's penciled in. He could the Nottingham Forest date. It could be his return to full action. It's penciled in. Man, the guy's mental. The guy was literally 5 minutes away from losing his leg and actually dying, in a car crash. And then 5 months later, he could be back on the pitch. Mental.
Absolutely. Wow. It's been our Big Pete. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having me, Jack. Thank you.
Let everybody know where they can find you on the socials and that.
Yeah, TikTok at WHUFC 2290. And that's me. Do a lot of podcasts. Got the London Rivals podcast as well going on at the minute, which is quite entertaining and funny, especially as I'm with an Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs fan. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cheers, Big Pete.
Thank you, Jack. All the best, mate.
Appreciate it. Ross, where can everyone find you, mate?
They can find me in the box at London Stadium on Thursday. No, the West Ham Network on YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff.
Appreciate it. All the best for the rest of the season, Ross.
You too, mate. Take care, boss.
See you later. That is it then. Thank you to Big P. Thank you to Russ from West Ham Network. Appreciate it. Guys, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Get down and do so. Let me know your score predictions if you're watching this on playback. Let me know how you think it's going to pan out at the London Stadium as Leicester City take on the Hammers. Will it be another hammer blow for the Foxes, or will it be a surprise for the Foxes bloody getting some out of that game? But I'll be there on Thursday night as Leicester take on West Ham. Matchday vlog will be out as well. So, yeah, if you see me, come and say hello. And, yeah, let's get on to Thursday then. West Ham away. Let's see what happens. Keep here the final whistle. Good night. Take care. Hi all. Thank you for watching the final whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.